Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the Birds Blast. Kyle Quinn here on the Edge Philly Sports as part of the Talking Philly Sports with Matty B family of shows with your boy Matty B and my right hand man Kyle Quinn. We come at you every Saturday to present you the best in breakdown and preview Philadelphia Eagle action. And Kyle, you came on this show last week. You said it to me. I can replay the audio and the video. I don't think you want me to. But you said, and I paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote, if they get boat race Sunday against the Cowboys, then I'll be on this show ringing all kinds of panic bells. What kind of bells did you bring with you tonight, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I slammed the panic button. Happy Saturday, by the way, Matt.
Yes, happy Saturday.
The panic button was slammed on the season, especially following Sunday night. It was brutal. Like the past 2 weeks feel like you got kicked in the behind, followed up with a swift kick to the stones. Like the way they lost to those two teams, I mean, it sucks. And they validated everybody's criticism that everybody had. And I mean, they're just playing horrible football over the last 2 weeks. I mean, no matter what you say about how they played earlier on in the season, the last 2 weeks they played like garbage. So they definitely can play better. Will they? I don't know. I mean, it's tough to trust the team right now with the way that they looked over the last 2 weeks. You kind of have some tomato cans on the schedule the rest of the way, but, you know, it's not really about that. At the end of the day, you are going to be left wondering how they stack up if they do find themselves in a playoff matchup with either the Cowboys or the Niners, and it's fair to wonder that at this point. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but, you know, a lot of football left to be played. We'll see what happens with some of the other teams. We'll see what happens with the Birds. But it's getting late early, as they say, and they've lost a lot of the ground that they had earlier on in the season.
Absolutely, Kyle, and I'm actually, you know, not relieved because Kyle, I give you a lot of grief. You give me a lot of grief. You're a hell of a lot more unbiased than I am, and I'll be the first to admit that. I stay up on hills no matter what the situation is, and you are, you know, you're taking the latest technology that's presented to you, and the latest information presented to you, using the latest technology, and you're coming up with a new opinion as it grows, because this is not a stagnant animal; it's an ever-changing beast. Of course, I don't believe that. I'm who I am, and my stand is what I am. And but we'll get in more into that later on in the show. But Kyle, let's overview this game real quick, or we summarize this game. It's really not an overview, but a summary of this game. Before we start, Kyle, I have to ask you this, man. You know, okay, they came out last week or 2 weeks ago now, week and a half ago, about 2 weeks ago, and they got their faces kicked in by the 49ers, and all we heard was, hey, wait until you see how we respond. This came out of the Eagle locker room. And then they come out on Sunday. Kyle, I didn't see anything different. I didn't see anything different from the effort against the 49ers, or really much anything different than they've been presenting all season long. A team that is unprepared and unwilling or unable to make adjustments.
Well, they responded with their mouth, and they didn't respond with their play on the field. I mean, you saw A.J. Brown going up to Stephon Gilmore, getting in his face. I think that's a direct result of everybody calling them soft. I think he wanted to get Stephon Gilmore riled up and spark something there. Unfortunately, it sparks Stephon Gilmore playing really well against A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown sucked Sunday night. Jalen Hurts sucked Sunday night. Devontae Smith sucked Sunday night. The best players on the Eagles offense, which is the most talented side of the ball, played really, really poorly. So, you know, we can talk about how they got dominated sort of in both the Dallas and the 49ers game, but they're very different pictures or very different, you know, types of domination. I think the Eagles just totally blew it with their best players on offense in the Dallas game. And in the 49ers game, their defense couldn't stop anybody. Actually, in the second half against Dallas, the defense gave the offense some opportunities to get some stops. The offense is just abysmal. So whether it's a coaching issue, whether it's a quarterback issue, most definitely a combination of both. The best players are not playing their best football right now.
And, you know, Kyle, it's funny because as I was watching that thing unfold Sunday night, I honestly did not see the Eagles getting blown out. I just didn't see the Eagles doing anything to counter any of the punches that they were taking. And then when they would get something going on, they would self-inflict an injury. So I almost fell asleep watching this game. That's how boring it was on the Eagles side. They weren't getting blown out, Kyle. I mean, Dallas was doing what they had to do. Dallas kicked, 4 or 5 field goals in this game? They weren't getting blown out. The Eagles just had no answers for anything. They were just kind of there. And that was probably, to me, the more frustrating part about this game versus the 49ers one.
I agree. And that's a very it's the perfect distinction, because the 49ers game, we went in there lined up and got rolled. Like, we didn't turn the ball over. The Niners just flat out kicked our ass. Dallas, we shot ourselves in the foot like 50 times. So if that's going to make anybody feel a little bit better, about if you have to see Dallas in the postseason. It actually kind of does for me, because I do think if they're not turning the ball over a bunch, it's a different game. They were moving the ball down the field. We can talk about the offensive struggles all they want. They turned the ball over 3 times. I think 14 of their 19 turnovers this season have occurred in opposing teams' territory, which is ridiculous. And it's flat out unacceptable. So the offense is moving the ball. They're just totally screwing themselves over. I mean, especially in the Dallas game. Not really the Niners game, but definitely the Dallas game.
And let's turn to the offense real quick, because I mean, we do have to kind of recap some of this. I know it's painful. It's painful for me to do as well. But on the night, Hurts was 18 for 27, 197 yards, averaged about 7.5 yards per throw. Was sacked for only one time for 7 yards, and he had a QB quarterback rating, Kyle, of 38.1. His overall rating of the game was 88%. The offensive passing standout, Kyle Quinn, was the punter, Braden Mann, who was 1 for 1 with a 28-yard reception on a beautiful offensive play of the night, Kyle. Fake punt. Did you see that coming?
I didn't. I mean, who would have thought that Michael Clay would be the best coordinator on this team last year?
That's a good point, man.
Stuff.
Everyone's under fire except for him. He must be sitting back in the NovaCare complex with his feet up, man.
He's on
the receiving side or on the rushing side, DeAndre Swift a little bit more. He had 11 carries for 39 yards. His longest of the night was over 7 yards. Jalen Hurts only had 5 carries for 30 yards, and then Kenny Gainwell had 4, and Boston Scott had 3. So again, a very pedestrian rushing effort overall by the Eagles. But when you look at the disparity now between, I mean, it's a little bit better, 11-5 between Hurts and Swift. Kyle, I'm tired of talking about this every week, and we've done it for 15, 14 weeks, whatever it is. Are the Eagles the rushing team that they are right now? Is this what they are, and there's no changes coming?
I honestly, it's one of the most inexplicable things about this team that I can remember with an Eagles team in a long time, because they were dominant on the ground in the beginning of the season, and they have all the pieces that they had in the beginning of the season when they were rushing for 200 yards a clip in that really early portion. So I have no idea what's going on with the run game. I mean, if I had the answer, I would mail it over to the NovaCare. But it's honestly kind of ridiculous. Like, they have the full strength of the offensive line. Jalen Hurts, I think, is as healthy as he's been this whole season. I think he's as healthy as he's going to be this season. I don't know, maybe it's a workload thing with DeAndre Swift, but they're not activating Penny on game days. It's just the weirdest thing in the world, dude.
It truly is. And on the receiving side, A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 94 yards. Devontae Smith, 5 receptions for 73 yards. Dallas Goedert, 4 receptions for 30 yards. But the big story between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith was not the balls that they caught and possessed. It was the balls that they dropped and then fumbled. Kyle Quinn, possibly the worst effort both of these two had ever put forth in an Eagle uniform, and it just happens to be in the same game.
Yeah, I mean, you're not lying. That's as bad as you'll see Devontae Smith play. It's as bad as you'll see A.J. Brown play. I mean, that drop that A.J. Brown had, that was a really, really nice ball by Jalen. And the one that Devontae kind of dropped in the end zone, that could be another deep touchdown. Great ball from Jalen Hurts too. So if there's anything you can take out of the offense, not A.J. Devontae's performance, obviously they were terrible, and you don't expect them to repeat that. But it's that Jalen Hurts actually looked good throwing the football once again, because I don't think the story of Jalen Hurts this season has been his accuracy per se. It's sort of been the hesitancy and just not holding on to the damn ball. I mean, we talked about this weeks ago, fluky interceptions, but the fumbles, man, I mean, they have to stop. They're unforgivable. So that goes for Jalen, that goes for AJ, and it goes for Devontae.
For the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 24 for 39, 271 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns. The Eagles got to him 3 times for 15 yards, finished with a QBR of 68, and a quarterback rating of 99.4. Tony Pollard. Let's talk Dak real quick. Dak is an enigma. I mean, he did what he had to do. He did enough to keep his team in the lead and moving the football. Nothing's it's not super about what Dak did. He just kept the ball moving.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing you can point to about the defense too. Is Dak? We said 24 for 39. Not a great completion percentage in terms of Dak standards. Not a great yardage total. And like you mentioned, they were getting off the field, but the kicker was bombing 59 yarders and 60 yarders. I mean, that's tough, So the Eagles defense was making stops. This wasn't the Niners getting 6 straight touchdown drives on them. So if there's anything you can take away from the 2 games, the Eagles and Cowboys, is that they weren't exactly getting dominated by Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense.
Now, rushing wise, Tony Pollard, 16 carries for 59 yards. Dwaddle had 12 carries, 46 yards receiving for the Cowboys. Jake Ferguson, 5 receptions for 72 yards. CeeDee Lamb, only 6 receptions for 71 yards. Definitely a far cry short of that 191-yard effort he put up against the Eagles in the first game. I want to turn the tables now on the Eagle defense because that is the unit that's under a lot of pressure right now coming out of Sunday's game. Kyle, the middle of the field is what it is. Shaq Leonard, it was out there. I don't know if his presence was really felt that much. I don't know how much it really was going to be in his first game with the team. But they just, as you mentioned, had problems trying to get off the football field. Again, the same thing. You mentioned the stat last week. What was it? They hadn't sacked a quarterback in the third quarter or on the third down. A third down sacks all season long. I went back and referenced it. You're right, and that's appalling of the amount of time that this team fails to get off the field. And then throughout the week, Sean Desai, I guess, has taken over the reins of the most the most coordinator under the pressure here, as this defense is becoming just as the offense has predictable and very beatable.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think there should be more pressure on the offense than there is the defense. The defense is what it is. Like they're the less talented side of the football. The one thing I will say about the defense is that they need to get home more. The defensive line is by far the most talented unit on that side of the ball, and they need to get to the quarterback more. There's no question about it. But the rest of the defense, the back end, the secondary, the middle of the field, that might just be what it is. And the only way you can overcome that is with a prolific offense. The offense is extremely talented. They're playing way below their talent level. I think the defense is playing closer to their talent level than the offense is. The offense is what I would say underachieving. The defense is probably just achieving, if you can even go that far. But the offense is underachieving. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Hurts, especially in the Dallas game, they played like crap. So they need to play better. You can put that on the coaches. You can put it on the players. It's on everybody on the offense. But the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year with the 29th ranked defense in football. But they had Patrick Mahomes and they had an excellent offense. So if the Eagles want to do anything like that, they're going to need to have a prolific offense. That's just what this team is at this point.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about the X factors in this game. I think you mentioned the one. I'm going to mention. Well, we mentioned both of them, but let's dwell into it again. Eagles did turn the ball over 3 more times. Now it's up to 19 for the game. It's 1.5, Kyle. But if we use the rule of 5, we're going to round that thing up to two turnovers a game, and that's not going to make it. That's not how it is supposed to be in the NFL level. And winning. And then the people who fumbled, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown, doesn't get more bigger than that for players that are putting the ball on the ground. And, of course, Jalen Hurts has been in that mix all season long. We talked about this too, Kyle, and it's funny because these things are things that we've been mentioning all season long. How do you stop the damn team from putting the ball on the ground?
I don't know. I guess I got to do more ball security drills in practice or something. I mean, I don't know. Like back to the basics, I guess. I don't know how the hell you coach a professional athlete to hold on to the damn ball, but it's that's what's unforgivable about the turnovers because there's weird bounces on interceptions sometimes. Balls get tipped, especially a lot of the ones Jalen's thrown this year. But when you're running, you just got to hold on to the football. It reminds me a lot of Mike Vick when he played here. And when he played for the Falcons, he would drive you all the way down, and then he'd freaking fumble it in the red zone. Like, you just can't hold on to the freaking football. Like, I don't want Jalen to become that. It was uncharacteristic when he did it in the Super Bowl. It's not uncharacteristic when he does it this year. So, if anything, it has to stop from Jalen. I think Devontae and AJ, they don't really they're not, like, fumbling it. They're not turnover machines this year. Jalen kind of is. So, I look right at the QB.
And the other X factor for me in this game, you mentioned him briefly, Brandon Aubrey, the USFL washout, signed by the Cowboys, was 4 for 4 on field goals. His longest of the night was 60 yards. He was 3 for 3 on extra points, accounted for 15 Dallas Cowboy points, Kyle Quinn. I hate to give it to a kicker, but when in Rome,
Yeah, dude, he's bombing 60 and 59 yarders. Like, I don't think he's missed all season. He's 30 for 30 or was, at some before the game or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, he dominated. But it is so 15 points on field goals. The Cowboys offense scored 15 points on their own, yeah. I suppose. So out of the 30,
17.
Okay, I mean, not like the worst thing in the world because not every kicker is going to be hitting those kicks on you, especially if you're at the Link. I mean, it's easy to do that in Dallas with the roof closed. We'll see if he's able to do that in Lincoln Financial Field in January.
And then I believe there was a couple of kickoffs that he hit the upright as he was
Yeah,
kicking the ball off. I mean,
twice. Yeah.
good job, man. All told, it equals a 33-13 Eagle loss. Let's review the stats, and we're moving on. For the game in the red zone, the Eagles are 0 for 1, but they did turn the ball over a couple times down there. Now 29 for 48 on the season, 60% effective. Kyle, I mean, it's hard really to kind of critique a red zone stat when it's only 0 for 1, but you could talk about the turnovers inside the red zone. Is it red zone play calling the worst here for you? I mean, I know there's some play calling issues, and we can go there if you want, but are the Eagles maybe pressing in the red zone or pressing overall?
It could be something to that. I don't know. It could be happenstance. I don't know, but it's happened way too much this season for me to believe that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I can't say the play calling has anything to do with guys not holding on to the football. I think it's the turnovers in the red zone, really just mistakes like that. That's been killing this team when they get down there. There was a few games where they weren't turning it over in the red zone, and that's where we were on the streak where they were hitting, 100% of scoring effectiveness in the red zone. So I think it really just comes down to the turnovers.
For the game, the Eagles scored 6 first half points, now up to 157 first half points for about 12 points a game, for a half. Second half, they put 7 up for 192 points, now about 15 points a half. Kyle, they've scored 7 or less points in the first half, 5 straight games. I'm really, that's very concerning. I know they've been getting off the slow starts, but I don't care. It's concerning. Penalties, Kyle, 10 penalties for 95 yards, 74 penalties now on the season for 623 yards. It averages about 6 penalties a game, 48 yards a game. Kyle, that's 6 penalties and a half a football field per game. That's got to get cleaned up, Kyle.
Yeah, it does, especially the stupid personal foul stuff. That's ridiculous. I know there was some weird ticky-tack stuff in the Dallas game, but you can't put yourself in that position. And the false start, stuff like that, stupid mental errors, they just cannot happen, especially against a really good team.
The Eagles did force a turnover on Sunday, their 15th of the season, just a little over 1 a game, and then they committed those 3, 19 now for the season. They got to Jalen got sacked once for 7 yards, 31 sacks for 168 yards. They did get to Dak Prescott 3 times for 15 yards, 37 sacks now for 233 yards on the season. All told, Kyle, another listless performance from a team who now made the NFC East a very tight playoff situation.
Yeah, well, the records in the NFC East are tied, and the Cowboys, with the tiebreakers right now, have the lead of the division. But the Eagles are way more in control of their destiny than the Cowboys are. In fact, you look at the scenarios. If Dallas loses Sunday, or if they lose to Miami, one of the two, the Eagles can actually lose to Seattle as long as they win out the next 3, and they'll win the division by virtue of the tiebreakers. Not that that's a pretty way to do it. Not that's the way anybody wants to do it. But the Eagles are way more in control of the division than the Cowboys are.
Now, Kyle, this was brought to my attention this week, and I had to go back and look because I know we've been talking. I've been talking on all platforms that the Eagles have clinched weeks ago. And I think when they went 10-1, I'm like, yeah, they clinched. The Eagles actually have not clinched a playoff spot yet. Officially, they're still not clinched. I don't know where I fell off the rails on that. I think I heard people saying they had clinched, and I think the NFL.com reported it, but no, they have not clinched yet.
Yeah, I saw that going around too, but I did saw a few people correcting it. I didn't know what to believe, so I just sort of ignored it and was like, whatever.
Yeah, I guess at 10-1, they just kind of figure that, you know what, yeah, you're in.
They're like, how do you not clinch at 10-1?
Yeah, well, I don't know, Kyle. As I said, I lived through the '94 season, 7 straight games, losing streak to end the season. I hope the hell that's not what we're on the road for. But all right, and let's hope. All right, Kyle, we got to turn the page because we got another primetime matchup this week out on the West Coast against the 6-7, yet they scare the hell out of everybody, Seattle Seahawks, or they scare everybody in the Eagles Nation, Seattle Seahawks. Monday Night Football out there in the great Northwest. The weather, we're looking at about 45 degrees. And guess what, Kyle? There might be some rain in the forecast. And what a shock there. And the Eagles are going to go with their, I believe in their white and green, I think is what they're going to go with. I mean, this look. No, they're going on. Bringing the Wentz whites out in December. Kyle, don't like that one bit either. And then the Seahawks going with that all dark blue on blue monstrosity. They got some ugly ass uniform combinations on that team. At least they're not going with the neon stuff. Kyle, before we talk injury report, because there's actually some things to talk about there. Is it what's the water cooler stuff? This is a must win. Season's on the brink. It's not if they don't win it. But for everybody's peace of mind, is this a must win?
Yeah, I mean, it's not only a must win, but the Eagles need to they need to kick somebody's ass over these next 4 honestly, they do. Like there's not too many ways that they can regain people's confidence over the next 4 weeks because they're not playing too great of teams. But the only way they could do that is by showing total domination. Put together a complete game. Like if you can see the defense forcing turnovers and the offense marching down the field every play, you're like, man, that's like the best version of this football team. That's what we've been waiting to see all season. Then maybe you're like, okay, here we go. But as of right now, no, you're just sort of waiting to see it. So I don't know if I expect that in Seattle per se, but we have, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not death if you lose the game, but for the fans, I mean, it'll be, this place will be on fire.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, it was on fire last week, but I can't imagine what other knuckleheads are going to be standing out in front of NovaCare complex this week, dressed up and holding up signs and whatever. But off to the injury report, Kyle. As I mentioned, there are a few choice nuggets here. Let's start with the Seahawks. They're coming into this game with their entire secondary kind of in question. The highly touted rookie, the 5th overall pick in this past year's draft, Evan Witherspoon, has been dealing with a myriad of injuries all season. This latest one is a hip, but he's also dealing with a rib issue. He didn't practice today. He's listed as questionable. Geno Smith, of course, their quarterback, who didn't play last week due to I believe it's a groin injury, was part of a walkthrough today and was slated to practice. I imagine he's going to be a go. Wide receiver D. Eskridge, he's also dealing with a rib injury. Trey Brown, the cornerback, Trey is dealing with a toe problem. Frank Clark, who's not really the linebacker he used to be, he's been dealing with injuries. And then the other cornerback, Artie Burns, is actually left the game on Sunday against the 49ers due to a knee injury. Let's talk about the Seattle secondary. Coming into this game, banged up would not be really the word to describe it, Kyle. They're hurting back there.
Yeah, and Witherspoon's a big one. I mean, he's like a good rookie. He's a great rookie. He's a standout player, definitely in conversation for rookie of the year. So if he's banged up, then hopefully you can get a matched up physical guy like AJ Brown and see if you can take advantage of that matchup. So I'm definitely interested to see if he continues to practice in a full capacity the rest of the week.
And then for the Eagles, Darius Slay is listed as questionable. I don't know why. There's no designation next to it or no reason for it, but maybe Kyle, can you provide some light to why Slay is showing up on the injury report?
So last week he was on the injury report listed as rest/knee. I think he does, maybe some little soreness in his knee, nothing that's like hampering him per se, but I think there is something to, because they did this 2 weeks in a row now with both games being on turf. I think there's something that they're trying to work through with, not having him acclimate himself to grass and then go play on turf, something like that. I don't know. There's a weird thing that I heard going around about Darius Slay and them not trying to mess him up on that turf this week.
Cam Jurgens also listed as questionable. Zach Cunningham's questionable, and then Reed Blankenship, who's dealing with concussion protocol after leaving the game on Sunday. That's really all the Eagle injury issues. So on surface, Kyle, with the injuries to be accounted for, what do you see happening in Seattle on Monday Night Football?
Well, the Eagles are probably going to have to score a lot of points. It's going to be like that, say what you want about Geno Smith or Drew Lock. We'll see who ends up starting at quarterback there. That obviously is going to change things. But DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenny Walker, and Zach Charbonnet, they got weapons back there. So that's going to be tough for this defense to defend. We're past the point where I think anyone's trusting them against that group of guys. So it's going to be down to getting to Geno Smith. But I think the Eagles are going to be, I think they're going to come out hot on offense. I really do. Seattle's the team that is going to give you the opportunity to do that. Their defense not been good. They have those good corners, but really they can't get to the quarterback at all. So the Eagles should be able to take advantage of them. I'm hoping Jalen Hurts is comfortable back there this week. And I think we're going to be able to take advantage of that. Probably a close win, but I do think the Eagles are going to end up pulling it out.
If the Eagles win the opening toss, does Sirianni defer?
He probably will, but I don't think he should. I mean, it was tough seeing them get marched down on the field right after, the whole week talking about 6 straight touchdown drives. And then the Cowboys go and do it right there. That was a little bit deflating, I would say. So maybe they can look for a spark, give the team some energy, and go down and score a touchdown to start the game.
And with that, what is Kyle Quinn's 3 keys to Birds' victory?
Yeah. Well, Matt, when you're on a 2-game losing streak like this, you sort of just got to go back to the basics, the fundamentals, for your 3 keys of victory. So the first one, and we just talked about this, we're past the point where we trust the defense to be able to make big plays and big stops against those guys and just totally shut down the Seahawks defense. But the one thing that they can do to help themselves and help the offense help them is for the love of God, get off the field on third down. I mean, last week I was begging for a third down sack. I don't care how they do it at this point, whether the receiver drops the pass or whatever. They need to get off the field on third down because they need to spend less time on defense and less time getting carved up and let the offense control the ball. The other thing is, you just talked about it too with the taking the coin flip. Play with the lead. I don't remember the last time they did that. They're scoring so few points in the first half of games. I think we've come to the conclusion now that it was better when they were scoring tons of points in the first half last season as opposed to this season.
Oh, you kidding me right now, man. All so they eat I took, and now you're going to come around and say, oh, maybe there's something to that? I mean, come on, man.
Well, I mean, dude, I don't know if you're seeing a pattern here, Matt. I know you're a big pattern guy. But things have been tough with the Eagles not being able to score in the first half. So I need them to do that, score in the first half, play with the lead, and for God's sakes, no more turnovers, dude. Please, Jalen, hold on to the football. AJ, hold on to the football. Everybody, just stop putting the ball on the ground, man. It's absolutely killing you. It's killing you. And you're going to need every possession you get. Can't be giving away.
Yeah, no, I 100%. Matter of fact, my number 3 key to Eagle victory is your number 3. I get the hell off the field on third down. I can't say it any clearer either, Kyle. I mean, we've gone from talking about a Super Bowl team to a team that's saying get off the field on third down, Kyle. It makes you wonder going forward how this thing's all going to work itself out. But, I mean, we got a bazillion years of football left ahead of us. But still, as you said, it's getting late early. So get off the field on third down. Number 2, for me, is do not take advantage of the Seattle Seahawks banged up secondary. Make the easy plays, goddammit. Take the screen passes, the slant plays, the curls. Do something to move this offense and to keep the defense on its toes. Stay the hell away from the deep ball. Every friggin' possession, they're going deep. It's not working. Teams are scheming for it. Stay away from the banged up Seattle secondary. I can't believe I'm saying it like this, but that's what I'm really adamant about that. And as you mentioned, number 1, it might be everybody's number 1 is to not turn this stupid ass ball over, especially when you're in the red zone. And I mean, I could probably live even better with interceptions versus fumbles at this point too. So those are Matty B's keys to victory.
Yeah, the turnovers are the biggest one, and I mean, I'll join you again this week, Matt. I'm a full proponent of run the ball on the Seahawks team. You got to be balanced. You got to run the ball.
I'm not even talking about that. Just take the easy off the line of scrimmage plays. Do some deception. Make them come up a little bit because Kyle, I mean, they're hanging back in an 8-man, or they're in a zone, and it works because I don't know, Kyle. I'm tired of it.
When they're in a zone, run it into the zone.
That's what I would do too. All right, Kyle, let's move on now to the most adamant part of the show, and it is our predictions, scores, and MVPs. Let's recap back out the folks at home. We both had the Eagles last week, and we both came up short. You're now 9-4. I'm now 8-5. Your MVP was Jalen Hurts, and so was mine. And I don't think neither one of us will say that was the true statement. I'm going to give the MVP. I'm going with the kicker. I'm telling you, Kyle, this guy was the X factor for me, and he kept out because Dallas, as I mentioned, was not blowing the doors off nobody, but they kept getting the points when they needed them. He kept the Eagles at bay. He was the X factor, and he was also my game MVP. Do you agree, or who was your game MVP?
I agree, Matt, because as long as we're not giving it to stupid Dak, then I'll give it to the kicker.
All right, that's what I'm talking about, Kyle. Let's talk about this week. Give me your prediction, score, and MVP.
You're going back and forth on how I think the score is going to go. I'm going to say 34-28 Birds, and that's on a game-winning touchdown drive by Hurts when they're down by one point. Or no, hold on. I'm going to say, what is it, 33 because they go for 2. Don't get it.
33-28, and who is your MVP?
All right, we're going to go with Jalen. Big bounce back game for the boy.
All right, Kyle. So you got 33-28. You said Birds, and I'm like, well, what Birds?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are the only Birds, but I'm also going to go with the Eagles as well. Not because I particularly feel that they might win this game, but again, going off my mantra of I made my picks back in August and I'm sticking with them. I had the Eagles winning this game. I got them 27-24, and A.J. Brown. Now, my MVPs are not picked in August. I picked those week to week. So I'm going to go with A.J. Brown because if there's a player on this team that needs a break or that needs to kind of re-endear himself to the city, that's Mr. A.J. Brown, all the nonsense he's been involved with over the last couple of weeks. And we're going to segue into that now, Kyle. So again, I got the Eagles 27-24. A.J. Brown is my MVP. But here's the question of the week. And it's a serious one, Kyle, because last year all you heard about was how in lockstep this team was with each other and everybody had each other's backs, brother to brother, mano y mano. And then this season, we had a few incidences of maybe not so much that. Way back in week 2, you had Jalen and AJ chirping on the sidelines with each other in the Minnesota Viking game. And then you got the DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown walking off the field, leaving Swift laying there hurt. Got Darius Slay having a battle with Seth Joyner and then going on his stupid podcast saying how, look at me, it's not me, I'm not the one. And now we get the most vile of all the we don't really have a strong team foundation. It's the locker room leak. And of course, the speculation is once again pointing at A.J. Brown for this. Kyle Quinn, is the foundation beginning to crack? And if it is Nick Sirianni the guy that is capable of putting it back together again? Or is the foundation sturdy as ever?
Well, it's not as sturdy as ever. I think you're finding out who some of the people are that you can count on in terms of leadership moments, like A.J. Brown, Darius Slay. Zero reason for either of those guys to have a C on their chest. The leaks, I mean, they're ridiculous. It's stupid that stuff comes out when you lose 2 games. Your question about Nick Sirianni, I actually do. I do actually trust him to get them out of this. I remember a time where he took over the job from a 4-11 football team. The quarterback didn't want to play for him, Carson Wentz, and he had to make do with Jalen Hurts. And they even started that season 2-5, and things were terrible. And everyone, he crushed him for the flower speech and mocking him and everything. And we thought the foundation is cracked and this team's going to be a disaster. Sirianni's not even going to make it through his first year. They picked themselves up and they went to the Super Bowl the next year. So I actually do think that I have faith in Sirianni and I have faith in Jalen that things are going to be okay. They just need to win. Like they're like a hitter in a slump. They need to see one go over the fence or they need to see one go in. And I think going in is going to be beaten up on one of these crappy teams coming up.
Kyle, I'm going to disagree. I think that this is the beginning of, and I mentioned this to you way back in week 2. I said, did we have a TO situation maybe happening here with A.J. Brown? You kind of bit my head off. No. Kyle, I think we do. I think we have an A.J. Brown TO situation, and I think it's as the roots are starting to take hold. But winning seems to be the thing that cures that, because when they win or he gets he hasn't chirped. But Kyle, I'm concerned that we do have a TO situation, and I don't think that Andy Reid handled it well, and I don't know if Nick Sirianni is going to handle it any better. So I'm concerned. And then the last point about the team structure issue that I have, I listened to the Brandon Graham show. I'm going to give it a plug here on your network, 94 WIP. Was it Monday at 6? It comes on right after the day after the Eagles game at 6. Is that the?
Yeah, well, it'll be Tuesday this week, but Monday.
Right. So typically the day after the Eagles game at 6 p.m. is the Brandon Graham show. And I listen. First of all, here's a shout out to not a shout out to Howard Eskin. Howard Eskin needs to hang it up. Howard Eskin was so intimidated with Brandon Graham and trying to make sure that he wasn't making Brandon upset. That is not the Howard Eskin I grew up listening to, and it actually disgusts me to hear him like this. I hope that, and please pass that along to Howard for me. But what I heard Brandon Graham on that show on Monday night was, give me every cliche 110%. We got to do better. We're working towards it. Every sports nonsensical cookie cutter response that I've ever heard in my life was regurgitated by Brandon Graham on Monday night. And it really concerns me that maybe Brandon's not in tune, doesn't want to show up the locker room laundry, and that's great. But I didn't leave that conversation feeling like, you know what, we're going to be all right.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, that's not what he's out there to do. It's not his job to make you feel better. He's not saying what he's saying to you, Matt, in the locker room. He's saying that on the radio. He's saying that that's what they do. They give you cookie cutter answers all the time to the media, even when things are going well. Brandon Graham doesn't have to give you that. Brandon Graham, I don't know what If there's anybody that we're going to question the leadership on this team on, Brandon Graham is without a doubt the last one. Jordan Mailata was also on the station earlier in the week talking about how Brandon Graham broke down the team before they had their lift. And he said everybody has to stick together. And he addressed the league. So Brandon Graham is addressing the team. Brandon Graham's talking to the team. It's being addressed. I think they actually do have good leadership in the locker room. And I think the team knows who the leaders are. It's not A.J. Brown. It's not Darius Slay. And by the way, I'm pretty positive, I would just say, that the league is not A.J. Brown. So if that's what your worry is with A.J. Brown, then we don't need to do that. And I don't believe it's a T.O. situation because him and Jalen are too close. T.O. and Donovan McNabb were not. It's a very different situation where Jalen's the godfather of AJ's child. So that's one of those things where they're going to be barking at each other a lot because they're sort of brother types, So, and I don't think there's going to be an issue like that with AJ Brown. I think the foundation is strong enough to go through this.
I vehemently disagree. I think it's the beginning of the end when it comes to that stuff. And as far as Brandon Graham not having to tell me, the hell he doesn't. I am a major stakeholder in this team. Brandon Graham is only here for a certain amount of time, and then he moves on. And the team stays here, and I stay here. So, yes, I'm not telling you to reveal game plans. No, I want to know what's going on. I've always wanted to know what's going on. Granted, I've never gotten that answer, and you're right. But don't tell me that he doesn't owe me anything. The hell he doesn't owe me anything. He owes me everything. No, I am the major stakeholder in this thing.
You don't get what I'm saying. He doesn't owe you anything that he says on the radio. He owes you his play on the field. He owes you a good performance. Brandon Graham can show you. He doesn't have to tell you, Matt.
Yes, he does. He does have to tell me. He absolutely
does. He doesn't. Matt, he doesn't have to tell you. That's not his job. Brandon Graham's job is to play football, right? You're talking about you're a major stakeholder, not in his radio appearance. You're a major stakeholder in his play on the field.
He's talking about the product of the Philadelphia Eagles and why the product is suffering. And he gives me these cookie cutter crap that he's double talking over.
Matt, he's getting paid to.
Okay,
nobody's forcing you to listen to that.
You're right. It's a free country. I can do what I want. I understand that. But I'm also paying a portion of Brandon Graham's salary. I am. You are too.
You're paying him to go on the field, not to go on the radio. You have no stake in that. I am paying
him to do whatever it is as a stakeholder that I want him to do, Kyle.
No, that's ridiculous. He's not your slave. I
did not say that, Kyle. That's not the word I used. I said he owes me an explanation as every one of them do.
No, he owes you an explanation on the field.
Okay, obviously the explanation on the field is not clear enough, so I wanted a further explanation on the radio, and he did not provide that. You're not going to get that from anybody.
Nobody ever gives you that. You're expecting something that's not happening.
Yes, it will happen. It will. Mark my words.
He's going to show you on the field. That's the only thing he can do. He doesn't owe you anything on the radio.
I disagree. He does. So, Kyle, we'll agree to disagree on this because we'll go all night shouting like a bunch of kids.
Well, Matt, that's not his contract. So, literally, legally, and technically, he doesn't.
Then why did he come on the air?
Because, Matt, he gets paid to do it. It's something he likes doing. It's something other people like to listen to.
So he's being paid money to provide
the standard responses. So
he's being paid money to provide a service to the fans, correct? By coming on the air. Is that true?
Matt, yeah, but not to tell you not to make sure that little Matt feels okay about everything with the team.
But he's getting paid to come on there and double talk. So that's what you guys are paying these people for, to double talk? Is that what WIP is putting out the big money for? Man, maybe it's WIP I should be mad at.
Matt, he's getting paid to go on there and have fun and talk about football, not to appease every little thing that you want from him.
But know the room, Kyle. That's what I'm saying. Know the room what you're walking into. You're walking into a second straight loss on a team that go ahead.
What do you want him to say?
Speak from the heart, Brandon. That's
what he does. But you don't think Brandon Graham speaks from the heart?
Not on Monday, he didn't. I'm not saying he doesn't. Not on Monday, he didn't. He gave me the two-step double takes. All right, we'll do 110% better of a job. It's on us. We're together in that locker room.
What do you care more about, Matt?
Every softball question that Eskin and Johnny Marks threw at him, and it was really deplorable in my aspect. Matt, I mean, I have a right to my opinion too.
Yeah, but your opinion is misguided and ridiculous. What matters more to you is what he says to you or what he says to the team, Matt? What do you think matters more?
Oh, obviously what he says to the team.
Okay, then that's it.
Yeah, but you're missing it, man.
Doesn't owe you anything more than that, man.
No, yes, he does. I disagree.
No,
he does. Nope. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yeah.
I mean, you're just wrong, dude.
I'm just right, Kyle. No, I am right. He does owe me something.
No, Matt, it's ridiculous. It's off base. It's ridiculous. It's misguided. It's misinformed. It's stupid.
It's misinformed. Kyle,
Yes.
how can it be misinformed? He
Don't know
owes the
what
fans a response. He does.
No, because that's literally not his responsibility. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But he got paid to provide a service on Monday night, and he did not provide an adequate
You
amount
don't
of
know what
service, in
service
my
he's getting
opinion.
paid to do, Matt. You have this
Right.
convoluted idea of what he's getting paid to do. You're wrong.
So the Eagles pay him to go out there, or was WIP paying him to go out there? Because whoever did got shortchanged.
I'm not getting into this because
you're not going to get into that.
Completely ridiculous.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah. No, it's not. No, I know it. No, I'm not. Honestly.
Enough. Move on. Stupid.
I got you rattled, Kyle. All right, Kyle, that's pretty much going to wrap us up tonight. I want to thank you for coming on, and I want to thank you for being part of your show, The Birds Blast, here with Kyle Quinn. And before I let you go, where can the people find you?
Well, WIPs, we just also lovingly spoke about 10 to 2 weekdays, Monday through Friday, and then on Twitter at Kyle_Quinn WIP.
Kyle, you know I love WIP. Come on, man.
I know you do, buddy.
Come on. All right.
You just don't know a lick about what you're talking about. That's
okay, I disagree. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know a little bit more than we were giving me credit for. All right, Kyle, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and we'll get together again next week, Saturday. So I hope your weekend's going well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. We got football today, Kyle. NFL football. 3 games today, and it's that time of the year, so that's a magical time, right, Kyle? You feel good about that, right?
It is. Happy Saturday to you, Matt, and hopefully tomorrow, which is most definitely Sunday, Cowboys can get a loss, and then in 2 days, which is most definitely Monday, the Eagles get a win.
That's right, and then in 7 days, which will definitely be Saturday again, we can go talk again. Yep. All right, Kyle, we'll talk later, man.
All right, dude. Good.
All right, go first. I disagree with Kyle, and I will go to the damn Matt. He does owe me an explanation. Listen, am I asking him to provide me the game plan? No, but you know what? I want to know, and it was disgusting what I heard him do. He double talked his way out of it, and yes, Howard Eskin was bad. I mean, Howard Eskin was the guy that he was the sharp-edged reporter type that wouldn't let people off the hook. But I heard Monday was garbage. But I'll disagree with Kyle. All right, that's going to wrap me up. But before I go, we did this on Monday. I'll do it again. I was going to give you my picks again, but I don't because I did it on Monday, and I don't have to do it again. So, listen, that was great. Eagles are in a situation on Monday night where they got to win this football game. If you guys want to have a season, if your season wants to continue on and you still want to talk Super Bowl through that season, a win is definitely in the mix here Monday night. And I hope the Eagles can go out Monday, and I hope they do win. As I said, I'm picking them to win. I don't necessarily agree to it. I don't actually believe it. Or necessarily believe it, not actually, but necessarily believe it. But the Eagles need to win, and they need one bad. And hopefully they get it on Monday night in Seattle. So until we talk again I'll see you on Monday. No, I won't actually. That's right, I won't. I won't see you again until next Saturday because I'll be preempted because of the game. Probably not going to do a show. We'll probably do one next Saturday. We'll do the Birds Blast show next week, and then I'll come back at you a week from today. Or a week from Monday, we're talking Philly Sports with Matty B. But whenever we do talk again, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and go Birds.